In the summer of 2018, a tragic event unfolded on the peaceful Phillip Island near Melbourne, Australia. This is the story of Samantha Fraser, a dedicated psychologist and mother whose life was cut short by her abusive ex-husband, Adrian Basham. Adrian Basham was born in 1973 in Australia, growing up in a family with strong ties to law enforcement. His father, James Basham, was a respected policeman, which influenced Adrian's early environment. Despite not being in trouble with the law during his childhood, those who knew him later believed that his unchecked cruelty and aggressive behavior stemmed from his upbringing and family dynamics. James Basham, a former police officer with years of experience, played a significant role in shaping Adrian's mindset. When Adrian committed a brutal crime, instead of condemning his actions, James used his police experience to advise his son on how to avoid punishment. This guidance from his father highlighted a troubling aspect of their relationship, where James's influence may have further enabled Adrian's violent tendencies. Samantha Fraser was born in 1980 in the suburbs of Melbourne, Australia. She was raised in a loving and supportive family, with her parents, Janine and Travis Fraser, always encouraging her to do her best. Samantha excelled in her studies and was very active in sports. She often received awards for her achievements in school and athletics. After finishing high school, she pursued a degree in psychology at a prestigious university. There, she continued to shine, graduating with honors. Samantha also remained active in sports during her university years, particularly in acrobatics, gymnastics, and dancing. She even led the student cheerleading team. After completing her degree, Samantha became a respected psychotherapist, working at a large medical institution. Her colleagues and patients admired her for her dedication and skill. Samantha's life seemed full of promise and potential, with a bright future ahead of her. Samantha Fraser and Adrian Basham met in late 2005. Their friendship quickly blossomed into a romantic relationship. Friends and acquaintances were often puzzled by their connection because they seemed so different. Samantha was known for her kindness, openness, and sociability. She had a way of finding peaceful solutions to conflicts and was loved by everyone who knew her. Adrian, on the other hand, was harsh and confrontational. His fiery nature made him difficult to get along with. Despite these stark differences, Samantha and Adrian fell in love and decided to get married. A year and a half after they met, they officially tied the knot. They bought a house in the suburbs of Melbourne, close to Samantha's parents. Their marriage brought 3 beautiful children into the world, daughters Jemima and April, and a son named Rex. Though their relationship seemed unlikely to some, Samantha and Adrian tried to build a life together, balancing their contrasting personalities. Adrian's work required him to travel often, which in some ways helped keep their marriage going for as long as it did. When Adrian was away, Samantha and the children experienced a peaceful and calm environment. However, when Adrian was home, the atmosphere changed drastically. Adrian was a controlling and abusive husband. He had an obsessive need for everything in their home to be perfect, from the cleanliness of the house to the way meals were prepared. His demands were relentless, and any small mistake could trigger his explosive anger. These behaviors suggested that Adrian might have had an underlying mental disorder. Samantha, with her background in psychology, tried her best to manage the conflicts and believed that she could help him change. She used her professional skills to de-escalate situations and mediate their arguments. Despite her efforts, Adrian's behavior only worsened over time. He became more unpredictable and aggressive, making life increasingly difficult for Samantha and their children. In 2014, after experiencing yet another violent outburst from Adrian, Samantha reached a breaking point. She decided that she could no longer tolerate the abuse. Determined to protect herself and her children, she reported the abuse to the police. Taking swift action, Samantha took her children and moved in with her parents, seeking safety and support. The couple officially divorced in 2017, marking the end of their tumultuous marriage. During the divorce proceedings, Samantha was granted custody of their children and the family home. However, even with a restraining order in place, Adrian did not stop his harassment. He continued to threaten and intimidate Samantha, making her life a constant struggle. Despite the legal protections, Adrian's relentless behavior left Samantha and her children in a state of fear and anxiety. After a year of relative calm, Samantha began to rebuild her life. She felt safer and even started a new relationship, hoping for a fresh start. Life seemed to be returning to a sense of normalcy, and Samantha allowed herself to feel hopeful again. However, this fragile sense of security was abruptly shattered on July 22, 2018. On that day, Samantha received a warning that Adrian had been seen near her home. The news sent a wave of fear through her, but she tried to stay cautious without panicking. She knew the importance of remaining vigilant and took steps to protect herself and her children. Despite her efforts to stay calm and composed, the threat of Adrian's presence loomed large, bringing back the anxiety and fear she had worked so hard to overcome. The following day, Samantha was supposed to pick up her children from school, but she never arrived. This was unusual, and it quickly raised concerns among her friends and family. After several frantic calls and messages went unanswered, the police were contacted. They arrived at Samantha's house to perform a welfare check. In the quiet stillness of her garage, they discovered her lifeless body. It was staged to look like a suicide, with an attempt to make it seem as though she had taken her own life. However, upon closer inspection, the police noticed signs that told a different story. There were clear indications of a struggle. Samantha had injuries that couldn't be self-inflicted. The scene was poorly staged, with several details that didn't add up. It became apparent that someone else had been involved. Adrian, her ex-husband, had attacked her, trying to cover up his crime. He left behind numerous clues, traces of his presence that pointed directly to him. Adrian was soon arrested and taken into custody. At first, he refused to cooperate with the authorities, maintaining his innocence and denying any involvement in the crime. However, the mountain of evidence against him was undeniable. Investigators had gathered substantial proof linking him to the scene, including forensic evidence and witness statements. Despite Adrian's best efforts to claim that the incident was a spontaneous act of violence, the truth emerged during the trial. It became evident that he had carefully planned and premeditated the murder, with details of his preparations and intent coming to light. The jury was convinced, and Adrian was ultimately convicted of the crime. His attempts to manipulate the narrative were futile in the face of the compelling evidence presented by the prosecution. In February 2023, the courtroom fell silent as the judge delivered the verdict that would define the next chapter of Samantha Fraser's tragic story. Adrian Basham, her estranged husband, and the man responsible for her untimely death, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for at least 30 years. The decision brought a sense of closure and justice for Samantha's grieving family and friends, yet the pain of her absence lingered, a poignant reminder of the devastating impact of domestic violence. Samantha's parents, Janine and Travis Fraser, faced the daunting task of rebuilding their shattered lives while ensuring the well-being of their grandchildren, Jemima, April, and Rex. With unwavering love and strength, they embraced their new role as caregivers, providing a nurturing environment where the children could heal from the trauma of losing their mother so tragically. Their home became a sanctuary, filled with warmth, stability, and the reassuring presence of family. As the community rallied around the Fraser family in support, Samantha's story resonated deeply, shedding light on the harsh realities of domestic violence. Her life and its brutal end underscored the urgent need for awareness and action to protect vulnerable individuals from such atrocities. Advocates and activists amplified Samantha's voice, calling for systemic changes to safeguard victims and hold perpetrators accountable. In the wake of Samantha's death, her legacy became a catalyst for change. Her story galvanized efforts to strengthen laws, enhance support services for survivors, and foster a culture of respect and empathy. Through their advocacy, Janine and Travis honored Samantha's memory, ensuring that her life would not be defined solely by tragedy, but by the enduring impact of her courage and resilience. The heartbreaking loss of Samantha Fraser serves as a solemn reminder of the profound ripple effects of domestic violence on families and communities. It is a call to action for society to confront and dismantle the cycle of abuse, offering hope for a future where every individual can live free from fear and violence in their own homes.